Canadians are being charged for protecting themselves, their families, and their property, and being backed into a corner through submission by the federal government, where we're being told to leave our keys beside our unlocked door, as criminals have more rights than we do.
Well, it happened. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today, if you saw my morning video, I said Mark Carney would announce that the EV mandates are being dropped, and Mark Carney has just done that. We've also got another poll showing the Conservatives in the lead. We're seeing more and more of these. We've also got a town hall in Alberta where Albertan absolutely goes off on the Liberal government. It's a beautiful thing. Let's jump into this. So starting this one off, we've got Shreya Teese with some polling data here. So this is the polling data modeled out. Let's take a look at the poll itself here. 40% for the Conservatives, 38% for the Liberals. You can see both the Conservatives have gone down 1%, the Liberals down 6%, and the NDP up 4%. So NDP, I guess the talk of them getting a new leader is getting those followers that were following the Liberals starting to jump back over to the NDP. You can see that modeled out here, 161 seats for the Conservatives, 133 for the Liberals. So that's minority territory. Got this one from economist Trevor Toome. From today's job report, Canada's unemployment rate rises to 7.1%, up 0.5%, 0.5 points this year. Alberta has seen a noticeable increase to 8.4%, the highest since 2017. This is Carney's legacy so far. Unemployment rate skyrocketing through the roof. Too many temporary foreign workers, and what is Mark Carney going to do about it? How does Mark Carney feel about the temporary foreign worker program? Well, we've actually got a clip. This one here, Brian Lilly posting from 2013 of Mark Carney talking about temporary foreign workers. We get to really see how he feels about this because he was the, as you can see, governor of Bank of Canada during the time.
One doesn't want an over-reliance, certainly on temporary foreign workers for lower skilled jobs, which prevent the wage adjustment mechanism from both improving, making sure that Canadians are paid higher wages, but also that the firms improve their productivity as is necessary. So we don't want to mask it. And as the government's review and as the intent of the review to ensure that this is used for transition for those higher skilled gaps that do exist and can hold our economy. So
he said it right there, transition for higher skill gaps, not for low wage. Yet what do we have today? Low wage. He's not a dumb man. He knows exactly what's going on. Why is he allowing this scam to go forward? Mark is a temporary foreign worker. That's hilarious. A master of many words, but little sense. So with Mark Carney's many failures, we have this. He's getting a standing ovation at the Toronto Film Festival. Why? What has he done to warrant this?
Thank you very much. Wow.
Why? They're treating him like he's some sort of hero for doing something. Well, what has he saved? Who has he saved?
Clearly, a lot of Canadians have flown in from abroad and haven't done enough. Thank you. I'm here, Cameron. Thank you very much. I'm here to take credit for, all those decisions that Justin and the government took. Seriously, I'm here to reinforce.
How about taking credit for Kuzma? This guy loves to take credit. He makes jokes about it, but he actually does.
I've been in those seats. It is a great honor to be up here.
I'm equally puzzled why these people are clapping for him as why my lights currently are bugging my eyes so much. They're acknowledging his ability to sway a mob purely through acting. 100,000 job loss in 2 months. Ontario's collapsing, but they clap for this clown. You want a real sense of what's going on? We've got Howard Lutnick here on American News on Bloomberg. Listen to him talking about Carney and his elbows up.
And the Prime Minister Modi seem to indicate a coalescing of the BRICS. Do you see anywhere in the next month, 2 months, any type of deal or backing down to a lower rate with India?
I would expect, like you saw it in Canada, right? The Carney got elected with this term elbows up, meaning let's fight with America. They put on retaliatory tariffs. They were all bravado. And what happened? Their GDP negative 1.6%, unemployment rocketing towards 8%. And what did Carney just do? He just finally dropped his retaliatory tariffs. So I think what happens is it's all bravado because you think it feels good to fight with the biggest client in the world. But eventually, your businesses are going to say, you've got to stop this and go make your deal with America. So I think, yes, in a month or 2 months, I think India is going to be at the table and they're going to say they're sorry and they're going to try to make a deal with Donald Trump. And it will be on Donald Trump's desk how he wants to deal with Modi And we leave that to him. That's why he's the president.
You can't disagree with what he just said there. I mean, it really is the truth. It is all bravado to feel like you're doing something, but all it is hurting our country. He should have just made a deal, should have just come out with a big peace offering that is great for America and then good for Canada, slightly better for America. So Trump can brag about that and it's a win-win. But instead, they did the exact opposite, elbows up, and look where we are today. It was a brilliant strategy that helped them retain power. Yeah, right there. Moving ahead, we've got Mark Carney making the announcement I showed this morning, dropping the EV mandates for now, halting it, pausing it.
So to add flexibility to the automotive sector, we will remove the 2026 electric vehicle availability standard, which specifies the share of new vehicle sales that must be electric next year. This will provide immediate financial relief to automakers at a time of increased pressure on their competitiveness. And the government will begin immediately a 60-day review of the EV standard to identify future flexibilities and ways to reduce costs.
He just said it provided financial relief. Why would you be putting financial pressure on these essential sectors that are so big in Canada? A 60-day review. I mean, look at the reviews of this. They're going to be reviewing this 60 days. Well, then that overlaps into October, which is the start of the CUSMA review. We've got a lot of rocky road ahead here because legally the United States has to send their grievances to Canada, what they don't like about the CUSMA agreement, starting October. I believe it's like 200 days ahead of time, about 3/4 of a year. CUSMA ends July 1st, 2026. So there has to be a period beforehand where Canada can adjust to what they want to change. So that's going to be overlapping with this, not to mention other stuff like F-35 review process. There's a lot of moving parts here.
And we'll advance new options to bring more and more affordable electric vehicles to Canadians.
More affordable electric vehicles. Why? Because you have hundreds of investments that benefit from it? He got a great tan on his vacation. Jolie doesn't look so jolly anymore. It was never going to work. A small economy like Canada cannot force this type of change and think it would be just fine. It's the height of arrogance. So we're jumping ahead to his second mandate. Listen to this.
The second major initiative that we're announcing today is a new $5 billion strategic response fund to help Canadian businesses adapt, diversify, and build that new economy. This fund has three core objectives. First, to help businesses pivot to new products and market. Secondly, to retrain and retain skills and production here in Canada. And thirdly, to make our businesses globally competitive. So businesses can use these funds to invest in the design of new products, to retool their plants to boost productivity, or to offset the costs of accessing new markets. And the fund will be open to all sectors, given the fact that the tariff impacts are wide-ranging across Canadian industries.
How are we going to pay for this? $5 billion. This guy doesn't have a budget, but don't worry, here's another $5 billion. Mr. Brilliant Banker can't put together a budget, but boy, he can spend a lot of money. You look at the faces back here, they don't look so convinced of what Mark Carney's saying. Here he is talking about the global trading system and how it's ruptured.
What's going on is not a transition, it's a rupture. And its effect will be profound. Workers displaced from their jobs. Supply chains that have existed for decades disrupted. Companies forced to change where they find their materials and their products. And all of this is causing an extreme uncertainty that's holding back massive amounts of investment and, as a consequence, slowing economic growth. Just this morning, we see the impact in today's employment report in Canada, with unemployment rising across regions and sectors. This makes decisive action crucial. To be clear, we're in a position right now where Canada currently has the best trading deal with the United States of any of their trading partners.
The way he frames that every time, he knows full well that Canadians are going to associate that with him, and he didn't make that deal. It's dishonest. He should state that he didn't get that deal, but of course, this is politics.
85% of our trade with the U.S. is now tariff-free.
Is now tariff-free? Interesting wording. It's been tariff-free the entire time. He makes it seem like he just did that deal.
We have the lowest tariff rate of any country in the world. But we also know that given all those changes, given the rupture, we can't rely on our most important trading partner as we once did. Greatest strengths, and in many cases in certain sectors, has become a vulnerability. This disruption calls for a bold new approach. And given, as Minister Jolie said, given that we can't control what other nations do, Canada's government is focused on what we can control. And that means building our strength at home, building Canada strong.
That's hilarious. Melanie Joly just starts clapping her hands so loud there. Goes back to a slogan, Canada strong. They love to blast Pierre Poilievre for slogans and they use them all the time. As Mark Nixon points out here, his solution, 2.5-month summer vacation, keep Parliament closed 20 days open all year, and use his hinge moment in history to turn Canada into the greenest failed state on earth. It's well said. Carney's climate playbook all along was to turn the net zero transition into a $1 trillion asset class, wrap it in ESG language, and sell it back to the public as progress. This isn't a climate plan, it's a financial product. Boom. That is so well said. That is probably the best framing of what Mark Carney's doing I've ever seen. So here's Mark Carney finally addressing the crime crisis in Canada.
This government is committed to reforming the criminal code to ensure that organized crime, gang crime, crime with handguns, home invasions, auto theft, that the individuals who participate in those crimes pay the price they should with consecutive sentencing, that they are not in a position where they commit a crime one day and they're arrested and then out on bail the next. So bail reform being at the heart of it. We're committed to having more officers at our border, 1,000 more border agents, more RCMP, committed to working more closely with the provinces. And I'll give you a specific example with respect to the last. We've been working with the Council of Federation, all the provinces, on bail reform. We will be legislating on that. We're proposing legislation, I should say, to the House on that next month.
There's not going to be no changes here. He talks a big game. There's going to be no changes. Why does Jolie think this is so funny? Every time I see her, she's smirking. We go back. You can see her right here smirking. He is again offering a policy that conservatives pressured him into, not his idea at all. It's one after the other. Maybe it's just time to vote the conservatives in. I cannot praise those who caused the problem. Next up, we've got Jasmine posting this clip. Vasi Capello's going bad cop on the blocking of pipelines in Canada. I don't like it when Vasi tries to use these technicalities. Life is not a parliamentary manual. Life is not based on technicalities. Let's get in the real world where we know blocking pipelines means making it an uninvestable environment. And that's what we have today.
One thing I would quickly point out, just one caveat to what you point out, like the C69, for example, the impact assessment, it's not necessarily, it doesn't make pipelines illegal. In your party's view and in the industry's view, it sets an environment that makes it harder for a private proponent to come forward. I interviewed the Minister of Energy a few weeks ago. I put those concerns to him. I asked him whether or not they were fully going to rescind the things, many of the things that you just listed off. And what he communicated was basically that that C5, that the new powers that affords the federal government would allow them on a case-by-case basis to override things like Bill C69 or the emissions cap if it is in the name of a project getting built. Isn't that exactly what you're looking for?
Well, then repeal the anti-growth laws. Reward those who actually build. Protect Canadian innovation. Again, there are lots of things that you can do in order to make these conditions possible. You know, Mark Carney said the first time, the Prime Minister said that he would have a list at the First Ministers meeting, you know, almost 5 months ago, and still there is no list. There is just an office. So we're saying there's lots of things that you can do, and that's exactly what we'll propose when we come back to Parliament in a couple of weeks, a Canadian sovereignty law that will put all of these things right on the front burner. So it signals to proponents, to industry who have also been asking for these things, to get them off the table and out of the way, and stop any of the trepidation that people have about the Canadian economy and the way that we don't build here.
Yeah, we don't build here because these laws make it uninvestable. Companies are not going to sit around and wait or going to try to trudge through. They'll just go somewhere like America where it's easy to build this stuff and make a lot of money. Companies want results. They don't want bureaucracy, blockades. It's all about the bottom dollar. As Jasmine points out here, as a business person, would you waste your time with money and paperwork? No, you just go to America. You're not going to wait 3 years to get it approved. No. That's why I think Vasi needs to drop this hardball shtick she does sometimes with technicalities. You see this a lot on X where people are saying that Alberta doesn't pay equalization payments to Quebec. Yes, they do. It all gets collected as tax and the tax gets divvied out and then Quebec gets the lion's share of that. that. So yes, they do, because if Alberta didn't pay, Quebec wouldn't be getting that money because it wouldn't exist. But people like Max Fawcett, lead columnist at the National Observer, always tries to bring up this technicality. These are dirty tactics to avoid what's really going on here with the real problems in Canada. I think Vassie's been warned that she could lose her job if she doesn't follow the Liberal agenda. She used to ask good, direct questions, but looks like she has turned. I mean, she tends to play the, bad cop on both sides. It's just sometimes, like in this case, it looks like it's forced because it's not a good argument that she's trying to make. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, to get a project to a state where the regulators can review. Why bother when regulators are the biggest barrier? Wrapping up this episode, we've got this one from the CCFR. We've got a Pew Pew owner absolutely going off on the Liberal government. This is amazing.
Currently, we have a public safety minister who wants to come and take my legally obtained firearms, in which I took a safety course for, legally purchased, but he can't define what a restricted position acquisition license is. He had to recuse himself from a organization, which is the Tamale Tigers. I will not be handing them over to the federal government because I'm not supposed to give my firearms to criminals. So I'm not going, so I can't go to the range. I can't do my sport shooting with 90% of my firearms because I became a criminal overnight with an unjust gun grab fraud. I know that Premier Smith is familiar with the homeowner in Ontario who was just charged with injuring a home intruder who had a crossbow.
You should ask her about it.
Yeah, Canadians are being charged for protecting themselves, their families, and their property, and being backed into a corner through submission by the federal government. We're being told to leave our keys beside our unlocked door, as criminals have more rights than we do. So where would the Alberta Police Force stand in relation to the legal firearm owners?
It's a great question. I'm glad we ended on that.
Well, let me tell you my frame on this. So the proper use of the criminal code power is the way the feds will regulate around, for instance, vehicular homicide. Like, there are ways that you can use your car that people, and they look at that as a criminal penalty and they charge you. But you know what they don't do? They don't come in and say, red cars have a disproportionate number of accidents, therefore we're going to ban red cars and confiscate them, right? They're able to see that there is one use of that particular piece of property that is criminal, and they let us regulate who gets a driver's license and who registers a car. So I'm just going to take that analogy a little bit further. They can regulate the criminal use of firearms. They can go after the bad guys who are breaking into people's houses with crossbows, and we will then regulate the legal use of firearms so you can continue to own them, collect them, use them for sport shooting, use them for hunting, and use them for other purposes. So we're working right now on what a legislative framework for an Alberta firearms license would look like, and we're going to fight it out because property and civil rights are our jurisdiction under Section 91 of the Constitution. That is, as you've seen, we have already taken action in that regard. We told the municipalities, no, you can't have a ban. That is not municipal jurisdiction. We told the RCMP, no, you cannot participate in the confiscation scheme. We've told our sheriffs that. We have told municipal forces, if you want to participate in the confiscation scheme, you have to come and get a permit from the justice minister, and I have it on good authority. He will not say yes. There is a piece that we're missing because Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe said that any of the mail delivery services were not allowed to convey these firearms. We're going to have to change our legislation to make sure that that's not a loophole that they can use as well. We've also passed our own Firearms Act, and we will do everything we possibly can to make it as difficult as possible for anyone to get the permit that they need to participate in that program. That's our ability to do that, using our ability to regulate on professions. So in short, you'll see that us and Saskatchewan are going to do whatever we can to make sure that we're defending firearms owners' rights, and that is what the Constitution allows, and we'll see what the courts say about it.
All right.
This is a level-headed response here. So Danielle Smith basically putting in as many barricades as possible to push back against the Liberals' ridiculous policy. They've wasted hundreds of millions of dollars on this buyback program, which has bought back 0 pew-pews at this point. As she pointed out, we're going to take all the red cars off the road because red cars are bad? Because sometimes red cars are used to do bad things? It's dumb. We all know that the home invaders don't abide by the rules. They don't care. They're using pew-pews every day. Even if we ban law-abiding citizens from having them, it doesn't stop the criminals. In fact, it makes it more dangerous because if average everyday Canadians had pew-pews and we could use them against home invaders, the home invaders would stop invading houses because they don't want to get blown away. Looks like a move to Alberta might be in the works. Watch out, Alberta. You better build some more houses. What an amazing premier overall. At least she's treating pew-pew owners like they should be treated. Finally, someone with some common sense. Canada could use 13 premiers like Danielle Smith and put Ottawa back in their place. Ford Nation, are you listening?